Hi, everybody. What'd y'all think of The Oath? Good stuff, right? Really good stuff. Well, the good news is you guys, saw the first episode, and if you didn't know, all the episodes are available now on Crackle as of today. So you can go home and watch the rest of the season. So they're all there. So make sure, because these guys I'm going to bring out, they're telling me it gets even better, and I believe them. So, but let's bring the actors on. We'll talk about putting the show together and all those things. I've got some questions from you guys, so thank you. First, I'm Jim Halterman, TV Guide Magazine's West Coast Bureau Chief. So welcome. Thanks for being here. All right, but let's bring out this amazing cast. We'll start with Ryan Kwanten. Next up, Cory Hardrict. And we got Katrina Law here. Arlen Escarpeta. JJ Soria. Elisabeth Röhm. And last but not least, Kwame Patterson. Welcome, everybody.
Your seats look so comfy. It's like a couch at home.
What's up, guys?
Now, you guys had your premiere last night. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much.
How is it watching this on a big screen? Assuming you guys stuck around for the screening, but how is it? Because we're all watching these things on our laptops or that. But how was it to actually see it finally on a big screen?
I think it plays really great on a big screen, and actually, we got a nice compliment that The Oath was by Rolling Stone. They said that The Oath felt like Michael Mann for the little screen. So we felt pretty psyched to see it on a big screen and see that it really held its own,
I'll take that, yeah.
That was dope.
So I'm gonna just kind of go down the list and talk to all of you about your characters and just any challenges you had making the show. But first, I just want to talk about the show's intense, and I'm guessing that doesn't let up because this first episode, there's so much kind of at stake, and you see where everything goes. I'll start with Ryan. Just as an actor, how is it to maintain that level of intensity? Because there's not a lot of light moment scenes, at least not in this first episode.
Our showrunner, Joe Halpin, this is very much based on, or informed by a lot of the stories that he had when he was sort of working for the LA sort of sheriff department, and then he was also sort of leader of one of the sort of the more notorious cop gangs out here. And knowing that I had to sort of live up to his life and the pretty kind of audacious script, there's a real intelligence to this, and each one of us sort of strive for a sort of an authenticity to it, and we kind of hope that passion bleeds across to the screen, because we left everything out in the line when we did it.
I think you did. Do you guys agree? Yeah. Cory, how about you? I mean, I'm back there with all these guys, and they're just joking and giggling and laughing, but is the set a more kind of serious place because of the subject matter, or as soon as the cameras are done, you guys just start breaking up?
Who wants to take it? I guess I will.
Cory. It's Cory.
How many of you guys have seen it?
Yeah, well, you know what? We're like one big family. We were together for like 3 to 4 months. Hey, I'm talking, man. Knock it off.
My bad, bro.
But we're like family. We can say that.
I got sidetracked.
And we don't take it personal. So, I love all these guys.
No, but then anyways.
I'm still talking, man. Jesus. Okay. No, so when we were working, I mean, of course we took our job serious, but when we weren't working, we were either hanging out or in the ocean or just kind of bonding around the island. But, we all connected, from like a bunch of different levels, mentally, spiritually, and we were all there to do one thing, and that was to make a great show, So we brought everything we had to this experience, and it gets better as the season goes on, and I think it'll be the best show of the year, in my opinion, because I'm on it, you know what I'm saying?
Mine too.
But yes, everyone worked really, really hard on this show, and we gave it our all. So congrats to the cast, and thank you for being here and watching us and supporting. So
thank you.
Katrina, how was it for you? Because, I mean, one, this is International Women's Day, and we've got some kick-ass women on this panel.
Yes.
Amazing.
Give it up for the women.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I did notice that watching the pilot. I was like, oh, these are not just, the wife or the girlfriend. These are women with just as big a stakes as everybody else. Talk about that, just both of you playing that kind of character in this.
Well, one of my favorite things about the way that this show was structured was they gave us all 10 episodes up front. So we got to know exactly what our story arcs were. We got to mentally prepare. And we also knew that this was supposed to only shoot for 3 months. It ended up going up for 4 months because of the hurricanes. But I think that let us treat this as a sprint rather than a marathon. So knowing that we were going to be in and out, everybody brought their A game. And the way that the shots were set up, everything is handheld. There's no Steadicam, or not Steadicam. There's no tripod, there's no dolly, there's no long setups in between. So basically after you do one take, it's immediately into another take. Even the turnarounds were super quick. So everybody just had to stay focused. And most of the time, this is one of the few sets that I've been on where phones didn't come out in between every take. There is no time for that. No one went back to the trailers. We got changed on set. And it wasn't because they told us to, but basically every single person here wanted to. And this is how we all functioned. And the biggest reason was because our leader, I didn't see him smile until January. So when you have a bar that is set and he does an amazing, as you can see in the first episode, Ryan, he's also a producer on this, and like he put his heart and soul into this, and basically everybody just kind of fell into place behind that, because it starts with your leaders and it trickles down from there. And basically, luckily, this entire team, the reason why we get along so well is our work ethic is pretty much at the same level, and everybody just wanted to run as fast as they could. Now,
but you're right. There was an intensity to it because we did have all 10 episodes, and we also cross-shot. So on any given day, we would do scenes from any one of the episodes. So that kind of required a level of focus. I think that made at least myself, but other people not want to leave set because you were so focused on where you were in the story of the 10 episodes that it just sort of demanded a focus that was, extremely intense because you were going through all 10 maybe in a given day. But yes, like Katrina said, also getting all 10 shows really, helped give us this journey that we were going to go on. You didn't just get a new episode every week. So, you were really committed from the beginning and knew where you wanted to get, and so it just kind of, your roots got really deep.
And the one last thing about the woman's thing, Joe Haplin, our showrunner, basically had an amazing female staff of writers. Of course, there were some men, but the women made sure that they were champions for the women characters. And when I got my sides to audition for this, I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, these are sides that men get to say. Women do not get to play this part. Women do not get to have this scene that is as hard and as kick-ass, because you always have to have a little bit of vulnerability, and you need to be just a little weak, and your eyes need to be super wide. And even though you're super tough, you need to be still be able to save by a man. So it was just really nice that they were like, no, we want women who are going to possibly kill you. Okay. So both of our roles, it was a lot of fun to audition for that and to finally get it into play, and you got to play as hard as the boys. So that was my favorite part about it.
Arlen, talk about playing your character, because your guy, he comes in and nobody likes him because
true story.
Because he's FBI and all that. But talk about the challenges just as an actor and playing some of that, because it is, everybody's kind of hoping you fail, and at least at the start.
For me, the main challenge with playing Damon is really just trying to find his happy place. And I think that also helped me because he's very much as centered as he wants to be. His life is constantly flowing this way and flowing that way, So I was really just trying to find that balance where I can still find his struggle, and his pain. And, playing with these guys on set, Damon is not necessarily part of the family, He's an add-on, not by their decision. He's kind of forced in there, and so it was a pleasure. I really enjoyed myself navigating through each and every one of these characters. One of my favorite things that I think you guys will enjoy with the show is that power struggle. It's gonna shift. Right when I think I've got them, next moment, I'm in the bag with them, So throughout the rest of the series, you'll see Damon grow. You'll see that power shift from each and every one of us will have it at different times.
One thing I have to say I liked about the show is you guys all have lives outside of your work. Like you have your mother, and people have families and kids and things like JJ, your character. Talk about that a little bit, because it raises the stakes for everybody, because it's not just a selfish, like I want this money or I'm doing this for my partners. There's a family life that you're kind of thinking about as well. I'm guessing that plays a part in your character.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's the family that Ramos has at home, his wife and his daughter, and then there's my family. These guys are my family because they'll take a bullet for me. So, not saying that my wife wouldn't, but I'm probably gonna jump in front of that bullet. You know what I mean? So, that was the constant battle within him internally, trying to be loyal to both, because you'd risk your lives for these people, and these people just because they'll risk their lives for you. So every decision that I made, I'm constantly going back and forth. How do I stay loyal to both sides? And it gets tricky.
And Kwame, I'm guessing when you open a script and you see a character called Neckbone, you're thinking he's probably not a good guy. I'm just guessing. But talk about playing the character, because you also, as an actor, you don't always want to fall back on just playing the bad guy. But how did you approach playing Neckbone?
Ryan, you want to tell him? No? Okay, all right. For me, the Neckbone character was pretty cool, and it was enjoyable because I'm used to playing like gangsters and drug dealers, but I'm usually playing gangsters and drug dealers on a street level. So Neckbone is like a calculated, smart, intelligent businessman. And, had Neckbone been born in Beverly Hills, he'd be running a, 500 Fortune company, Fortune 500 company. And it just so happens that he was born on the wrong side of the tracks, and he still runs his business like a Fortune 500 company, So it was cool to be able to play that character, to be in suits, to be clean. I like that aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of cool, man.
As the series rolls out, do we get more of his backstory and just who this guy is outside of just the work and what he's doing?
You do a little bit. Of course, you already see, like in the first episode, like the relationship between him and his brother, and how scared they are when he accidentally falls off the roof, because there's a strong bond between me and my brother. And so now it's like, everybody has to, look over their shoulders because, and they trying to cover the, so you definitely get to see that. You definitely get to see, what I'm saying, like that relationship that me and my brother have, even though he's not there anymore in the show, but you'll still hear like conversations and things that I talk about and things I share, that'll let you know that relationship was deep.
Yeah, Kwame sort of brought this real quiet intensity and intelligence to the character that it rivaled the, we kind of think on the good side of the law, I guess, that we have a good organizational ethos, but the intelligence that he brought to the so-called kind of criminal world rivaled, and if not, it became more committed than us, which sort of during the series, you can really, the stakes get raised when you sort of realize, wait, his camp is far better organized and than even the family that we've got. And when you start sort of picking this up one by one, there's method to the madness.
I mean, hats off to the writers to give that character layers, because a lot of times you just make the bad guy the bad guy, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, I want to ask you, being a producer as well, when did the producer side of you start, in the course of your career? Was it early on that you kind of knew you also wanted to produce and do things, or was it something that came along later? How did that work for you?
It's something that sort of has always been in the back of my head. I sort of went to school for business, believe it or not, and it was something that I do enjoy sort of using that right brain, and sort of the organizing a cast like this was a real treat, though. It wasn't like I really had to do that much. It wasn't like they were calling me their boss or anything like that. I was just trying to lead by example. I think that's the part of being at least a creative producer on my front is being sort of first one in the van in the morning and waiting to run lines with someone that maybe doesn't know their lines at the end of the day. You got to put in those hard yards. I think that's how you gain everyone's respect.
How important was it for you to do something that we hadn't seen you do before? I mean, you've done a lot of movies and that, but people still associate you with True Blood as Jason, which is great. But obviously, I'm guessing, yeah. But I'm guessing, you didn't want to do another series playing that kind of character. So was this a goal with this?
Absolutely, it's a goal with every project, and I mean even a sort of a second series, which we feel like is imminent. We don't want to sort of rehash old ground. I think that's sort of the purpose of being an artist. You got to get out there and a find out what it is that sort of works for you, but B, don't get afraid to kind of push those boundaries every now and then and go outside of your comfort zone. And even if people are telling you that's probably not your wheelhouse, well, you don't know until you try it.
I want to go back to something Elisabeth said about shooting out of order, which a lot of shows and films do. But what are the challenges for actors in that? We're in a room full of actors, but trying to keep track, especially when big things are happening to your character, and all of a sudden you're shooting a scene from the end of the season right after one from the early part.
We had really great directors. I mean, thankfully we had Jeff Thomas and Louis Pietro, and so I counted on them a lot, and I think we all did, because you're sort of in a time warp, and you'd sit down to the scene to rehearse, and you would be reminded of exactly where you were in this whole macabre of a journey. And so they were really great at helping us stay focused. Both great directors, both of them, you can feel as you'll see the show that really complemented each other. There was definitely a tone. I think a great show has a tone, and they both really fulfilled that tone. Like Katrina was saying, all of the handheld, all of the camera was constantly moving. You constantly felt that energy, and so I think it has a style. The show has a very specific style, and both of those directors really understood it.
I also think the cool.
Go ahead, my bad.
Arlen, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. We'll do it at the same time.
Rock, paper, scissors, go.
We're brothers. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, I'll go really fast. I'll go really fast.
I want to see that.
The cool thing about crossboarding and all these episodes was it did keep us on our A game, and we would jump between 4 and 5 episodes sometimes, within 1 day or 2 days. So you might have a belt in one pocket, another shirt you got to change in the corner, but we had to act off of instincts a lot, and that sometimes gets you the best performances. And we were just in the moment, and everything was organic and just raw. And that's, the directors, everyone brought the best out of us at all times. So that was the beauty of just shooting,
I think that's kind of exactly what I was going to say, that it really kept us on our toes, so we weren't allowed to get comfortable. That wasn't something that we had the privilege to, and I think it helped us. It really kept us in a position where we were always, that intensity that you
anxious.
feel on the screen. Exactly. Everything, the stakes for us as actors were already high, not just the characters as well.
JJ, were you going to add something?
I was going to say, in regards to the intensity on set, was also, it helped keep us in that headspace, was the music that was played on set, the Sicario soundtrack.
Jeff T. Thomas, who was one of our esteemed directors. I'd never really experienced this. I don't know if any of you guys had, sort of having that powerful Sicario. You've obviously seen it, some of you. It's an incredible movie. But the soundtrack to it was the soundtrack to us shooting now, because whenever I hear that, you heard it, we're shopping the other day.
I had it saved to my phone, and so it came up in my playlist, and I was at the grocery store, and it just threw me right back into that, and I started watching this guy at the grocery store, and I started playing it out, and as I was the character, who's this guy, what is he doing here, what is he following me?
And suddenly he's strangling him.
JJ.
But I enjoy that, because I enjoy this character.
Listen.
I enjoy this character so much.
That neck is tensing up right now. Relax, brother. He's not going to do nothing to nobody. At least his shoulders, he's like,
we promise you he's
relax,
not crazy.
man.
We promise you he's not.
Let them know what grocery store not to go to.
Come on.
Right.
Let them know.
Right.
Like Jesus.
Whole Foods in Northridge.
Liked it.
Man.
Talking
Pitbull
about,
about to
I just want to
attack,
say something
brother.
really quick about Kwame. So Kwame in real life is just a teddy bear. He's like the big brother, just gentle giant, just kind of like, hey guys, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then we start acting, and he just drops it. And I remember the first time he did, I was like, oh my god, I was like, oh shit, he's scary. Like he actually scared me, but he's so nice in real life that every time he does it, I'm like, oh.
Don't let it fool you. He'll put you to sleep real quick. Go to sleep.
Be more, baby.
Real quick. You ain't fooling me, brother. Oh, man.
Well, let me just go down the line here and ask everybody what their biggest challenge was in shooting the first season, if there was a challenge. Ryan, can we start with you? Was there one particular challenge?
Never losing sight, I guess, of the character. I mean, we were so locked in, and I guess I've got the showrunner staring at me. So, and I'm playing him, and that was sort of the biggest sort of playing a real life character too. There's a real onus, there's a real burden that's on the shoulders. And this is a character that sort of lives with that. He's like a human coiled spring, a rusty coiled spring that at any given time can just sort of bounce back in any which direction. And it's sort of, that's how I felt like for sort of 3 months. It's really, really wound up.
Was there also a luxury in knowing that you could ask him a question because he's right there? Like
Absolutely. We had sort of him and Reinhardt, his sort of longtime partner. I think they'd been together at least a couple of decades. And they were there as open resources for us at any given time. And we used and abused those guys. And they couldn't have been more gracious with their time. Because we are actors, and this is not our world. We will do our best to get down to their world, but at the end of the day, we still need some kind of guidance, people kind of hitting us on the side saying, okay, well, you're in the right lane, just sort of, yep, a little bit here and there, and you're good.
Cool. Cory, how about you?
The challenges, I would say, is, we weathered two hurricanes just shooting. So, the main thing was every time we came back just to stay the course, but to look at this island of, beautiful people, how, they had lost everything, but their spirits were still up, and we're just going down there filming. So it puts everything in perspective, and tells you what's really important in this world, and it's just people first, So we kept that, in thought, and we did everything we could. Katrina and Liz did a lot of contributions down there. I mean, we all did in some ways. I would drop clothes off, like I don't make it known, but Arlen see me, like I'll put some clothes by a bus stop and just leave it there and know someone would get it. But like I said, if it wasn't for the people of Puerto Rico, it wouldn't be no oath. So we give them the utmost respect and credit, and that was that. But really quick, what the characters challenge was, when I read the material and I read my character, there was some elements that happens to the character that happened in my real life, and it scared me. So I feel like if I want to be on television, the material has to scare me, and that means I have to do it. So I felt like I had to do it from this. I don't want to give the spoilers away or what's going to happen, because I don't know how far you guys have got into the season. And, it was like, I got to do this role. So, and I made, the best decision to work with this beautiful cast up here. And, thank all you guys. Appreciate it.
Likewise,
Thank you
man.
too,
Likewise.
Thank you, man.
Katrina, yeah. Wonderful. What was the challenge for you?
I'm going to go real shallow here. Cory and I had to run around in Puerto Rican humidity in wool pants. And they were tight. And I remember we had to do a chase scene, and I get done running. And first of all, we couldn't move. These boys were like trucking it. And we're like, guys, seriously, we cannot move our legs in these pants. And then by the time I got to where camera was and we got done running, they're like, oh, sweetheart, you ripped your pants. Are you wearing hamburger underwear? So, yeah, that happened. I was wearing hamburger underwear, Target. So.
We wore uniforms a lot, right? We had on our uniforms a lot, yeah, right?
Those wool pants, man. I was like, can we get promoted next year to detective?
Ryan?
Arlen, how about you? Any challenges?
I think the challenge for me was really trying to find Damon's voice and keep him strong. Everyone every one of the other characters are so strong. Even his boss at work, he's constantly being pushed. So I think the challenge for me was really trying to find places where he continues to grow and finds his voice, where he can finally, break out a little bit and without losing who he is. He has a very strong sense of self, and that really worked with me, trying to figure out exactly where his pocket was. But I enjoyed it at the same time.
JJ, how about you?
Well, you found your voice. I seen the whole show. You found your voice. You did it, bro. You killed it. You killed it, bro. You guys all killed it. You guys, like I said, I seen it, and I don't know how to lie. So I'll just be sitting up here, if it wasn't any good. What was for me, it was staying that intense, that headspace. I didn't want to ever, from scene to scene, ever lose it. You know what I'm saying? Ever lose my place. So just constantly staying there, leaving your phone in the trailer, staying there on set, just be running, pushing up, doing whatever, like just staying there for as long as you need to be, to finish your work for the day. And it was emotionally exhausting. I'm just going through right now, right in my head.
Can you whistle? Can you whistle again? Can you whistle again? Can you whistle again?
Can you do that while you're shadow boxing?
Yeah, don't ask me to whistle ever.
Show the boxing move, man.
Get up to your boxing
I'm gonna get up and show you the
move.
kneecap.
Not working.
No,
Stop.
do your boxing move.
No, I'm not your monkey. Stop.
That didn't sound right in this climate, bro.
I mean,
Shut up.
That's not what you
Did
said
not
last
sound
night.
right.
These guys always do this.
Diversity matters.
I love them. We love each other, but that's what it was. It was keeping the intensity and the focus. It was
like he's trying to do right now. I mean, it's extremely difficult with this group of people.
Liz, how about you?
Obviously the Ravens and that whole world is the most significant part of the storytelling. And the reason I was compelled to do it was because the world really drew me in. When I sat and read the 10 episodes, I wanted to be in that world in any way. And so to play a character that really, you're not going home with her and you're not learning about her life. It's about her secrets, and really developing a character, their inner life in a way that you can feel it, even if they're doing a scene that feels like it's exposition. So having done Law and Order forever, that's something I really have understood and learned, So to make her different from characters I've played in the past, I really wanted her to have a level of intensity that fit the tone of the show. And so it was sort of staying in a really cruel kind of mindset. To me, Arya is extremely cruel. She lacks empathy, and really, and it's always really informed for me by, what she has sacrificed to have what she has. So I feel like, I want to take someone on a journey to discover what it is that she's lost, in order to have what she has. And so, there's just is a certain level of, hardness and cruelty and, that I don't really relate to, but I wanted those qualities to be in her because I thought it would fit and drive, with the tone of the show. So I think also when you're playing a character that, is more about their job, you really have to have, a lot of deep inner life, a lot of, layers to what your inner thoughts and inner secrets and desires are and the things that drive you. Otherwise, it's really like watching paint dry. So, but yeah, I think there's a cruelty to her that I don't really relate to. So that was a difficult place to stay at times.
Kwame, how about you? Any challenges?
Yeah, I think the main challenge for me was working with JJ. Because, see, JJ would come to set with these arched eyebrows, and it was just like, when we be trying to do the scene, like, yo, why is your eyebrows arched? You supposed to be a gangster cop. You know what I'm saying? You look too pretty. So, that was...
I grew them out just so I wouldn't look that way.
I was trying to pull these moments with JJ, and I was just like, man, he is just too cute. Like, I can't,
Hey,
he's
blame
supposed
my
to be
mama. Blame
intimidating,
my
you
mama.
know? Nah, my real challenges for me, like what they said earlier, the first time ever was the jumping around. I had never done that before. Like I jumped around in the same episode, you know, where you don't shoot in order, but I'd never jumped all the way to like episode 7, and I got to be in a completely different place, and then I got to come back to episode 2, which is a completely different place that he hasn't even gotten to yet for episode 7. So trying to remember and find those moments was a little difficult for me, but like they said, you know, having Joe and our good, you know, great directors and stuff really helped me get through that. And this cast, man, like they said earlier, like we pulled the best out of each other. Like no one was like trying to like some, like, you know, you get on some cast, somebody's trying to steal screen time or like, you know, like Ryan's, you know, the lead, like me and Ryan would do scenes, and Ryan is trying to make sure that he pulls the best out of me versus, you know, like it just being about him or that kind of thing. So, you know, this cast, you know, it's like
We're
a
all there
family.
for each other.
Yeah.
Hold each other accountable.
And the thing about
Thank
this,
you.
you can't win championships with one person. You need a team.
Amen.
So that's just the way it is, and that's the way it should be. And we have a great team up here. Yeah. And the thing I told Ryan, and I always tell him this, he's probably one of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my life outside of acting. You know what I'm saying? And you have to get to know who he is. And I'm sure everyone up here will say the same thing. Yeah. I mean, he thinks so like low of himself. You know, he's in the ocean with the rocks, swimming like a fish. He rides the bicycle around the island. I mean, that's a good brother right here. So, you know, appreciate you, man. Thank you, brother. Yes, sir.
A lot of love up here. I like that. We've got time for a couple audience questions. Some we kind of covered already, but where's AJ? AJ, hey man. He wants to know what's the best advice about your career, your acting, that you ever got. I'll start with Kwame this time. We'll come down this way. But any good advice that you want to pass on?
Don't give up. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's pretty much it. You know, just keep pushing and believe that, you know, your time is coming and God has a plan for you.
Yes, amen. Okay. All right. Amen, brother.
Yeah. Liz, how about you?
I think one of the great pieces of advice I got was to live your life and have a really happy, full life, because it somehow balances out and feeds the fire of the work. You know what I mean? And to just, you know, invest just as much in building that family or those friendships or having adventures. You know, just so that life becomes really rich and fills the work. And there's a lot of seasons in acting. There's, you know, a lot of ups and downs, and one minute you're up and the next minute you're crashing and burning, and you need that. You need. It's happened several times to me, I know. But you need that life, you know, your personal life, to really keep you grounded through all the seasons of your career, and so to prioritize that.
Okay. That's great. All right.
Thank you, Arlen.
JJ, what do you got?
Ask me the question one more time.
What was the best advice about acting and an acting career that you ever got?
About career? I just focus on the work. Just focus on the work and just do your best at telling a story and actually, no, personally for me, I'll just be straight up. Like, yeah, just being able to realize that, just focus on that and telling a story and being honest in life and just every day. Being open and vulnerable in life has helped me to do that way more on screen, because that's why I'm a freaking open book, because it helps my work, you know.
Well,
like,
JJ also is like the most enthusiastic person you've ever, if you can't tell. And having done like an audition tape in his hotel room, to, you know, like, he's enthusiastic for the work, you know, and that positivity is a huge part of it, you know, staying really excited about it, even when you
committed. He wears his old T-shirt to sleep every night. I know it. He's committed, man, and we love this brother right here, though. You know, and he has a heart of gold, though. You know, he might be a little crazy, but he. But listen,
that's the crazy you want on your
JJ.
team.
Yeah. Everyone has their own traits,
I'll
but
take that crazy.
He really loves people, and he loves us, and I know he would do anything for us. So that's what I do now.
You know that feeling you
brother.
get when you get like the hair standing on you when you're kind of excited or you're passionate about something. You get the hair standing. At least 3 times in any given day, he's coming over to any one of us saying, you know, I'm feeling it right now. It's my hairs are standing up. Like, that's the kind of passion that he brings. Like, it's who he is. So it's a great advice, JJ.
Arlen, how about you?
I think the best advice I can give, I think Kendrick Lamar said it best: stay humble. In this industry, you get a lot of people giving you a lot of love and accolades. And I take it all with a grain of salt sometimes. You appreciate it, but you never want to lose self. And I think when you get a lot of love that's real or not real, you can lose a sense of who you are. And also enjoy the journey, you know, whether it's up, whether it's down, it's all part of the process. And you can't enjoy those high moments unless you have those low moments, because sometimes you learn more when you lose than when you win.
Well said. How about you, Katrina?
I think outside of, you know, honing your skills, going to classes and all that stuff, I think if you look at yourself as a widget or as a product versus as especially when you go into audition, and I feel like this is maybe more for new actors, when you go into the room and you don't get a part, or they tell you this or that, and you get any kind of feedback that isn't absolutely positive, people start to take it personally. And it's about, well, what do you mean? Like, I was doing that. And instead of, you can just go, okay, well, let me honestly hear the feedback. Let me think about myself as a product and try to see if there's some way that I can improve myself. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, yes.
But I think it takes away the personal ups and downs, and it keeps it more on a steady train. Instead of having your heart go up and down all the time, it just kind of makes you go, okay, well, they didn't like that. That didn't work. Let me see if I want to keep any aspect of it, and let me see what else I can change. And then, you know, it's little things like, well, they don't like your hair. Well, cut it or keep it. Simple as that. You know, if you don't like your weight, da-da-da-da. If they don't like your acting, take more classes or go to a different class. All these different things. So I think instead of just taking it to heart and kind of making it be like, oh, they didn't like me, I'm not good enough, da-da-da-da-da. I think if you just take that away and just make yourself a product and sell that, it kind of saves you in the business aspect of it.
Yeah, that's great. How do I follow that up? Jeez. What I can say, I got some advice from Clint Eastwood, who I did a couple films with. He told me at lunch one day, never worry about what you're gonna get, just show them what you got. And that was all he said. Nice. And I was like, wow, you know, that was very like powerful, and that's all he had to say. And I've been taking that ever since, like, just focus on the work, you know, focus on the craft. Don't worry about everything else, because you can't control other things. You know, there's a lot of other factors, like Kat said, to getting jobs. Just don't take it personal, and just focus on the long haul as well. And that's it. Have a lot of faith and perseverance, you know, and keep your integrity in this business, because a lot of people can lose it just out of peer pressure, out of, you know, wow, it's not happening. But you really have to have that inner belief in yourself to say, this is going to happen. I don't have to compromise who I am as a person, my soul, you know, my just my heart, you know. Let me just do it the right way, and in time it will happen. So that's my advice.
Okay, Ryan.
I'm kind of curtailing off of your answer too. I think that no one can do you better than you. So that's when you kind of break it down to that, you make any character you play wholly, solely unique if you just add just a small element of who you are. And I think in a business where everyone's trying to change you and mold you into something, maintain that essence that is you. Because there's skeletons there's demons there, but there's beauty there as well. And that can't help but be kind of caught by the camera. It wants to capture those kind of stuff, and it wants to get those moments. Do you know what I mean, man? That would be mine.
Okay, well, everybody in this room needs to go home and watch the rest of the season, because it's all sitting there waiting for you.
Yes.
But thanks for being here, and you guys, thanks so much for
Thank you
such a
guys.
fun
Thank
panel.
you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you.